Hey, so I just finished tip number 2, which is this is about money. And so the next part of that, how not to get screwed in a divorce, is realizing that not only is it about money, but it is also about protecting his reputation. So I got those two concepts because as I did a lot of research on midlife crisis, because I was, and honestly, I'm still convinced that this is what it is. I found that that was represented in a great deal of the advice that I saw. And it was just letting you know that this was about money, like I said in the last tip, but also it's about protecting his reputation. How does that help you not to get screwed? Again, if you can emotionally keep yourself together, you won't fly off the handle. And I think that you can kind of get it back together quickly. A lot of these things that I didn't know, that I didn't have a chance to process, caused me to really tank emotionally. And one of them was not realizing how much it was about protecting his reputation. So there'll be lots of half truths told. Like for a lot of work, it has to be a thread of truth to it. So one of the things that there's a thread of truth to is like, she was controlling me. Well, if someone doesn't take responsibility and you step up and they say you're controlling them, you will feel like, oh my gosh, I ruined my marriage. I shouldn't have been so controlling. And you'll buy into it because you'll feel that shred of truth. And it could make you make concessions or do things or even write things that may be used against you later, like writing a letter that says, I'm sorry I was so controlling, please come back to me, or something like that. And you say it in a very emotional state, but the next thing you know, this letter is in court saying that you were controlling. And now that you feel better and you kind of realize that that was a tactic, you have this writing. So be very careful about accepting some of the half truths that you see or that you hear coming from the other side. And speaking of that, knowing that it's about protecting their reputation, you want to shy away from trying to reach out to his family, his friends. That's a lot of advice that you'll hear on the internet. And I did that because we had a really rocky situation going on in our family for a number of years, and I was estranged from not only my daughter but my mother-in-law. And I felt like, in the beginning, my kids are going to have to be as a part of this family. It's going to have to really work. I didn't know about the other person, so I really had a great desire to be like this nouveau kind of thing, where we're going to just get along, we're going to be friends, and one day we're going to root for each other. And so I tried to reach out to his mother in that vein, and at first it didn't go well. Then it kind of was okay, and then it just dropped off, I would say around May. And my daughter later told me that it dropped off because she had received a picture of the woman in a bikini, and I guess she found out about the affair. And I'm not sure what happened after that. But, it kind of hurts. But you're going to have to let go of those things because it is about protecting the reputation of the other person. So you really don't know what's being said about you to people. So you have to let it go. And I know that that's really hard, but because it was really hard for me, when I thought about friends that we shared in common. And I kind of wanted them to call and check on my children or check on me, but you really can't have that expectation because this is about protecting his reputation. Because he's protecting his reputation, there'll be some people that he'll change. He'll be very one way with this person and tell them this part of the story, tell that person that part of the story, because they're building something against you. So don't be surprised when you get those things coming back at you. Again, you might lash out, might say something, and you'll just regret it later. Keep your spirit together. Keep your mind and your heart together. I think another thing that was really, really tough was being on the witness stand and having his lawyer say things that made me feel attacked. And I think even going into the process, there would be certain things that would happen. And I would ask my attorney, do you think his lawyer believes this? Do you think that they're buying this? And he said their job is to defend their client, to get what their client wants. So that's not a real biggie. But for me, it was something that irritated me, because I felt like, how could they represent somebody that does this to their family? I shouldn't have spent time thinking about that. I should have just accepted that it was what it was. What else did I write here? His family can't dump him, but they can dump you. There, I said it. This is about reputation. He's going to say some crazy stuff. And, you know, your friends are your friends. They may even leave you. I had some friends that did some wacky things. But I wish I had more, like something more solid to tell you, to give you a tip. I think the tip here is just to be aware that in an effort to protect their reputation, anything could be said or done. If you really think about the circumstances, again, every divorce is different. So I'm really speaking about those like surprise divorces, or divorces where something really skanky happened on his part. They're not going to tell the truth. They're not going to say, these are the ways that I contributed to my marital difficulties. They're not going to say, well, we had trouble, we got through it. You know, I told her that I wanted her to love me and I wanted her to trust me. And then I kind of just fell back into this other woman's arms. You know, I was really hoping for that type of transparency and honesty on his part, but it was really stupid for me to hope for that or to want that. You are going to have to find the truth in yourself. You're going to have to accept it, not just everything that he did wrong. You're going to have to look at the things that you did wrong too, because if you don't do that, you may accept more responsibility for things that are not your fault, but you also may not take responsibility for things that you need to build your character, to build your future, to make you a better friend to people in the future, to make you a better partner for someone romantically. You cannot do that if you do not take this time and self-reflect. And that's just for certain. You can't do it if you don't take this time to self-reflect. And if you're very wrapped up in the things that are being said and done, it's going to be difficult for you to do that. And for a long time, it was difficult for me to even just work on myself and heal, because I was so focused on what he was doing and why. So you have to get over the idea of that. Also, because this is about protecting his reputation, and you will hear things that you don't agree with, as you speak out about it, that's when you're going to get the bully statements. You're being petty. You shouldn't tell your business. That's vindictive. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is petty for your spouse to leave. It is petty for your spouse to oppose you in court. It is petty for your spouse to tell people intimate things about your relationship, whether true or not true. That's what was petty. This is your life. This is real for you. And anybody that sits and listens to his tales of woe should be willing to listen to you tell your story. And that's if you want to tell it. You may not want to tell everybody everything, and that's okay. No problem. It's not for everybody. But just remember that if you hear something that makes you say, oh my gosh, he said that to protect his reputation, and you want to counter it with the truth, counter it with your story, counter it with your opinion, that's fine. You have every right to use whatever tools you feel are necessary to move through this. And at some point, that may be to stop the rumor, to stop the statements and say, no, damn it, that ain't what happened. That's not true. Or did he mention this part? I think you have to watch who you tell that to. You have to watch who that you tell that to. There's some people who just want a story. You're not here to gossip. There's a difference between just correcting people or just owning your story, standing in it boldly, confidently, and just providing entertainment for other people. I know that because of the medium that I've chosen, this is going to be just entertainment for some people. And I had to accept that and deal with that because I thought it was that important to make sure that women felt supported in ways that I had to really claw, dig, scratch, seek out, and create in some cases. So that's my tip. Number 3 is it is about money, but tip number 3, it is also about protecting his reputation. So there's some things you need to do to just prepare yourself emotionally for that fact. And I hope that this tip helps you to do that. I'll see you next time.